Hi everybody, today we're going to graph linear equations, and we're going to do this with two different types of equations. The first equation we're going to look at is slope-intercept form, and the second is standard form. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. And ax plus by equals c just has a, b, and c as constants, which means they're just any number. So writing lines in slope-intercept form, if we rewrite this in slope-intercept form and identify the slope and y-intercept, that just means I need to solve for y. Right now, it's in standard form. This would be like ax plus by equals c. 3x plus 4y equals 8. Well, we can always go to slope-intercept form. So if I subtract 3x from both sides, 4y equals negative 3x plus 8. And then I just need to divide both sides by 4. That would be y equals negative 3/4 x plus 2, where the slope is negative 3/4, and the y-intercept, I'm just going to write b, is 2 equals b. Okay. So to graph using the slope and the y-intercept, basically what we need is the slope and the y-intercept. And we can do this when it's in slope-intercept form, meaning it is solved for y. So here the slope is negative 2/3 and the y-intercept is 4. Remember, the y-intercept is where our graph intercepts the y-axis, so b is 4. And then my slope is rise over run. So I'm going to go down 2, over 3. Down 2, over 3. You can go all the way across the graph. You can even go backwards, so you can go up 2, to the left 3, and make your line. So that's graphing using the slope and y-intercept. Just plot the y-intercept and graph the slope from there. So when we are in standard form, which I'll talk about, we can do x and y-intercepts. Well, the x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis. And at this point, y is equal to 0. So on the x-axis anywhere, if I go here, 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 or here, this would be negative 1, 0. This would be, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 6, 0, negative 9, 0. All of the y values are 0 along that x-axis. So for similar reasons, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. Here, x equals 0. So for similar reasons, we can go back up to this graph. You don't have to write this down, but let's say I'm crossing it on this y-axis. The first point is 0, negative 1, 0, negative 3, maybe 0, negative 5. All of the x values are 0 because we haven't gone left or right anything. So that stays 0. So we use that to graph. So when you graph using x and y intercepts, you do this when your equation is in standard form. Or you can do this when you're in standard form. Remember, you can always, unless the directions say so, you can always rewrite it into slope-intercept. So you have two options. So if I find the x-intercept first, I know that y equals 0. So I'm going to substitute that into my equation. 3x minus 2 times 0 equals 6. So that means 3x equals 6 and x equals 2. So what I could do is write this as an ordered pair. 2, 0, because x equals 2 and y equals 0, which I can then plot on my graph. Or I know it's my x-intercept and then x is 2. So you could do it either way. If I then look for my y-intercept, I know x equals 0. So 3 times 0 minus 2y equals 6. negative 2y equals 6 means y equals negative 3. So that would be 0, negative 3, because x is 0 this time and y is negative 3. So 0, negative 3. And hopefully you know, or if you don't know, you only need 2 points to draw a line. So I'm going to use these 2 points to draw my line. And that's how you graph using x and y intercepts. So let's try part B. I'm going to do my x-intercept first. So I'm going to substitute in for y equal to 0. So 5x minus 3 times 0 equals 0. 5x equals 0. Divide both sides by 5. X equals 0. Okay, so that point is 0, 0, because now x and y both equal 0. If I do my y-intercept, when x is equal to 0, 5 times 0 minus 3y equals 0. Negative 3y equals 0. So then y equals 0. So now my second point is 0, 0. But that's really the same point. So this causes a problem. So we should maybe star this one to remember. This only gives me 1 point, which is a problem because we need 2 to graph a line. So using x and y intercepts does not work on every problem. It works on some, but not all. It doesn't work when our intercept is at 0, 0. So we need to turn it into y equals mx plus b. We need to put it in slope-intercept form. So I subtract 5x from both sides. Gives me negative 3y, equals negative 5x. Solve for y, positive 5 over 3x. Now I can graph that. My y-intercept is 0, right? I could write a little mini plus 0 there. I'm going to go up 5 and to the right 3. Now I have 2 points. Okay, so that's one important thing to remember about using x and y intercepts. So we can only graph if intercepts are not at 0, 0. Otherwise, we would go back to slope-intercept form. You could use slope-intercept form on every single graph, but sometimes it's easier when it's in standard form to use your x and y intercepts. Okay. Wow, I'm having some troubles here. All right. So let's talk about horizontal and vertical lines. So y equals negative 2. I need all the places where y, meaning y is negative 2. I'm just going to plot that point there. There's no x in here. So there is no x-intercept, which means it cannot cross the x-axis. So the only thing that could happen here is that I have a horizontal line at negative 2. This y equals means horizontal. And I like to think about it at every single point. My y value is negative 2, no matter what the point is on that line. Similarly, this one is an x equals, which means there's no y-intercept. Well, x equals 3 right over here, but it can't cross that y-axis. So it has to go parallel to the y-axis up and down in a vertical line. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is graphing on the calculator. So when I have y equals negative x plus 7, when I see y1, that's because if I go to my calculator and I go to y equals, it says y1, my first y equation. So I can type in negative x plus 7. And I always like to start with hitting zoom and then 6, which is standard, which just gives me a 10 by 10 grid, which is what we have here. So I put in negative x plus 7 in my y1, and my window is standard 10 by 10. You can change this if you have to, and we'll talk more about that. But negative x plus 7 On the ones on the calculator, we're just doing a rough sketch. But part B, the problem with on your calculator is that it has to be in slope-intercept form because it has to be y equals. So I have to make this, this is in standard form right now, I have to put it in slope-intercept. So negative 10y equals negative 4x plus 15. Divide everything by negative 10. Y equals 2 over 5, just reducing my fraction, x plus 15 divided by 10 is negative 10, sorry, is minus 3 over 2. So I'm going to put this in y1 because it has to be solved for y. So I'm going to do that. I like to keep all my fractions in parentheses. 2 over 5x minus 3 over 2. Oops. I'm going to go to zoom 6. I'm going to say my window is standard while I wait for that to graph. And then I can make my sketch. Hopefully your graph just looks just like mine. So again, if you need any extra help, you weren't sure, you need to rewatch, make sure you go back. You don't have to rewatch the whole thing, just maybe one problem, pause it, make sure you understand these concepts before we meet in class again. See you then.